Reggio Kids, supposedly nature, early years. I think I saw it once and I never actually contacted them. I'll look it up. I just met a nice lady, Emma, who cycles. We might go cycle together. I'm returning some things. Man, I still cried watching that Spider-Man No Way Home. The scene for me that made me cry the most was when the Spider-Man of Andrew Garfield saved MJ. That for me, because I knew that would be like a perfect opportunity for him to, overcome something that was the hardest thing in his life. It was a chance at personal development. I don't like that they didn't say they loved him back, though, when he said that. But anyways, I'm going to read something from here, because this is a vlog related to ecocentric worldview. I'd like to sit somewhere to do this, but and maybe I will. Just hold on. Yeah, there is a place I'm going to go sit that I've never sat at. But in the meantime, I wanted to say that when I wrote in my master's degree the thesis introduction, where I was mentioning Gaia theory and James Lovelock and Lynn Margulies, that worked on that with him for 40 years, I think, and how it didn't have a spiritual component to their theory, because it was, it was based on measurable scientific realms of the sciences that is both macro and micro. And I wanted to say as well, like I've said before, that I do not have the ability, if it was possible, and I'm not sure it's scientifically possible for something like this to happen. It would have to be a stable biosphere for so long, and that's not going to come because of us. It's never going to come. Where we would connect to the planet in a way, let's say, that in the movies of James Cameron, Avatar, they can, and other such sci-fi stories. So I don't see something like this likely, although it's possible through the phenomenon of emergence. And a lot of other phenomenons that we don't study. And part of the reasons we don't study is we're afraid to hurt somebody's sensibilities. Phenomenons like cognitive resonance and things like that. So, other things that we're not even going to study enough to disprove it, for example. So, but I've never, had Gaia or Mother Earth or the biosphere or the overmind or the collective unconscious of our species or whatever it is communicate with me, and I don't really need it to, and I wouldn't want to be the kind of person that claims this because I've convinced myself in a way that it's possible and that it's happened, and that right now, I'm able to pray and I get answers or whatever it might be. I don't see this as being very scientific, and I can't make it up when it's not true. And of course, if I made it up, I'd talk about it, and I'd try to convince people that it's true for me when, it's not measurable. And that if only they worked harder at, loving the earth or whatever it is, it would happen to them too. That would turn into a religion. And there are risks, just like the title Gaia theory. I wrote I think in that document that, it might be the biggest blunder of his career, although, there are times and it is creative. But scientifically speaking, it was not the, he should have just called it a particular form of cybernetic theory in the Earth system sciences or something like that, just giving it a name that's more scientific. Maybe with a way to shorten it in a fun way that people would remember, but, just an original name. But I don't have this connection. I don't need it for me to know that the biosphere, the creator of not just my species, but me, but all other species, in the way that you can explain creator, for example, that we were manifested on here as a species because the conditions were right, evolution took a particular path, including with the help of astronomical stuff that had an impact on geological stuff, not just biological stuff, or chemistry or physics, but other things, and we came to be. And so it wasn't specifically created on purpose in this way, and I'm not special in any way, and certainly my species is not, except for the fact that it can, destroy its own creator. And that it probably feels some sort of pride in this, as based in, the human chauvinism that it has. Is it able to reference each other's human rights, or is it capable of altruism in the ways that it used to our species right now? My theory demonstrates that it's devolved this ability. So we're not going to be able to self-correct. Let me read this part and see if it reminds me of anything else I want to say. Okay, so I'm sorry, working so hard on this the last year, Linda. I mean, we got married and I basically disappeared into the lab. I know that, but please know that it's only because I want to get enough done so I can stop and spend time with you. I don't think I've ever told anyone this. It's hard to explain. It's like there's this need out there, this green need in the world, and it keeps whispering to me, wanting me to do more. And so getting back to what I said is I know there's a green need, but it's not whispering to me. For me, it's just measurable stuff, and it's measurable in the natural world outside of our species, but it's measurable in the human condition in the way that we act that is counter-green. Listen to me, I sound like a lunatic. Not at all. You know what? You work as long as you want. I'm going to go to bed. Hey, thanks for being you. Good night. And, I don't want to spoil the story, but there's no happy ending for that couple. And it's not likely there'd be one for me, because when you kind are pro-green at the levels I am, with an ecocentric worldview and a true understanding of the human condition, is you're really against what they call in there, I think the red, is the animal kingdom, maybe. And so I have to be against my own species, not really other species that are not within the plant kingdom, but I find that I live so outside the norm for just this worldview that for me is naturally the right thing to do based on the evolution of sentience and sapience within me. It's not because there's a calling or because I like being alone. No, I have great relationship skills, and I don't like being alone. And I would love to find somebody where I could retire this, because I've already done my part as one solo individual. I mean, if I can keep doing more, I don't have anybody to retire with. That would say enough is enough. Let's just, I'd like to learn to do a garden from scratch, It'd take a few years to learn things and build things myself with this lady in my life, and do a lot of our own things, and at the same time maybe volunteer the things that the human condition needs from me to have people devolve less, at least in the community where I would live, in the social skills that it needs to be able to, for them and their children and grandchildren, find ways to collaborate in productive ways in the future. That's pretty much it's pretty much what I want, and I am steered toward this by common sense and altruism. So I don't need any, religion out of this, or even a spirituality that has things that aren't measurable about it.